Hey everybody, this is Sue Craig, your Stampin' Up! Demonstrator here in Cleveland, Ohio. And today I have a really fun card for you. Some people call this a double vision card. Some people call it an eclipse card. I call it a gorgeous card. Check out that iridescent shine that it has. Take a look at the inside. The stamp set that we're going to be using today is called Scenic Coast. I really liked this because of all the different types of stamps that it had, especially the water and the sun. But also the dies are just amazing. There's a lighthouse, there's a sailboat, sunshine, net, birds, shells, fences, all kinds of stuff. This is in our catalog. We don't call it the annual catalog anymore. We just call it the catalog we have right now. So that's where this is. The paper that I'm using today is called Scenic Coast. I'm sure you've seen it. It comes as a 6x6 paper pack in the May to August catalog. Let me show you some of these gorgeous scenes. Isn't that pretty for water? They all have the iridescent shine to them. This was one of the cards we did in class this week, and for some ladies it was pretty difficult to pick one of these. So I took it down to just 3 choices so they didn't fret about what they were going to have to choose from. Well, let me show you what we're going to be needing. You don't need to write any of this down because I will have it in the description below. So just click on more and you'll see all the information you need. So the paper that we're going to need, you can see that we have a Highland Heather card base. It's 5.5 by 8.5, folded in half. We've scored it at 4 1/4. And I have 8 half-inch strips of paper. And what I did for my classes was I numbered these to make it a whole lot easier. This is a lot of strips of paper to have to put together to make the scene. So I have these numbered, and I may just turn them over now because I've messed up the order. And what I've done is every other strip I have put dimensionals on. And I'll show you how that works. We also have, this is a piece that was left over when I cut my paper, and I'll show you how I cut my paper. So I'm going to use this on the inside of my card, and I'll cut it down as I use it. I found this was a handy way to do some cutting ahead of time and pass them out in class. I have birds in here on a tiny post-it note and the little sailboats. I have 2 pieces of white cardstock. These are 4 by 5 1/4. One will be for the inside and one will be what we build our scene on here for the front. We're using the lighthouse. I cut it out of black paper, and what I did for class was I drew 2 lines in white so the ladies could just cut this if they wanted to, so that it would look like this. And they could also decide if they wanted to keep this a 90-degree angle or if they wanted to round it off, kind of like I did here. We have a piece of designer paper that was left over. We're going to use that for our sentiment. So let me show you how we're going to get this process started. We're going to take one of the 5.5. Oh goodness, we're going to take the 4 by 5 1/4. And we're going to, on the first one, we're going to add just adhesive to it. And we're going to be doing, you know, like every other one. So we'll do adhesive, and then we'll do dimensionals. So I'm going to put some adhesive on here. I found it was easiest to start at the very bottom, and I'm holding the rest of this straight up. I put my finger down here to hold this, and I'm going to line it up the side. I found it was difficult to do on the white to see where my edge was, so I just put it on my card base. So now it'll be easier for you to see. I'm going to hold this down, and I'm holding this until I get it lined up on the side, then I will press it down. It keeps you from having to rip up the whole paper strip. So you make it right along the edge here so that it is right there on the edge. So now I'm going to take my second one. I have numbered it. And I did it ahead of time just so you wouldn't have to watch me put these on. The same process though. I'm going to start down here and go slowly up. Now you'll see this card, some people take two identical pieces of paper and cut the strips and put the one on top of the other, and I am of the opinion that if I can save my designer paper, especially gorgeous stuff like this, I'm going to save my designer paper. So we're doing the one sheet way, or the paper saving way. And I know you've probably seen this all over, different people demonstrating it. I did try this with our tape, our foam tape, and it looked nice. It was raised pretty high, and I wasn't sure how it would go through the mail. So here it is here with the beautiful gallery, and you can see how high that is. Well, that looked pretty too, and I have not checked it out yet to see if it'll fit, if it'll go in a regular envelope and go through the mail okay. So again, this has dimensionals on this piece. Number 5 does not have dimensionals, so I'm just putting adhesive on it. So if you're doing this for a class, it is wonderful. I mean, it takes a lot of time to do the numbering, but it'll be something that your ladies will appreciate. I did forget to show you how I cut this paper, so I will show you that as soon as I finish putting these strips on. It's pretty easy because you're going to have a 4 by 5 1/4 piece of paper because you're covering the white piece here, which is 4 by 5 1/4. And depending on how your paper is cut, you may end up with a little bit extra on the end, on the top, whatever. We just took our scissors and trimmed it down. Now I recommend using your scissors, not your trimmer, because you cannot be sure that you're going to cut it right, and it may not go the whole way. So I prefer to use scissors, and that way I won't damage what I've already done and be upset about it. All right, so this is going to go on the inside. I'm going to move it, but what I want to do is show you how I did the cutting here. So this is a 6 by 6 piece of paper, and like I said, we need a 4-inch piece. Depending on the kind of paper you have, you know this is a 6-inch piece, so I need to take off 2 inches from the side. Now I can take off a full 2 inches from one side, or I can take off 1 inch on each of these sides. And it really, to me, it doesn't really matter. So I'm just going to take off 1 inch on this side. Turn it around and I'll take 1 inch off over here. Okay, now my piece is 4 inches, and you can see here's the strips, and this is how I got my inside piece for our card. All right, so now I have a 4 by 6 piece, and I want 5 1/4. And so what I want to do is I want to look at this and decide, do I want to see more of the sky or the water? So what I like to do is to turn this would be 5 1/4, and I close this. So now I can see if I cut off the water, I mean the sky, then I have a ton of water here. If I turn it this way and do 5 1/4, let's see what that looks like. I think that looks pretty nice. So I'm going to cut it there. Take that strip away. So I'm going to use one of these for the inside, so now I have some scraps left over that I can use. Okay, now I have a 4-inch piece, and all you're going to do is cut 1/2 inch strips. And when you do that, you want to keep them in order, in the order that you have cut them. So here's the first one. Again, I'm going to go to 1/2 inch, and I like to hold my paper so it's pressing up against the edge here. That way it doesn't shift. And you notice, and I'm cutting from here to the edge. So now I have my 3rd piece. Fourth piece. And it really doesn't take that long. When you're doing this for a class, you can cut multiples. You can cut at least 3 at a time. Okay, so now you have your 1/2 inch strips, and what I did was I picked them up in order so that I knew how to number them. Okay, and now you know how to do the cutting part of it. So back to our card. We have this part, and what we can do now is we can do some of the decorating, or we can do the stamping. So I think what I'll do is I want to do the stamping. We'll get that handled. First, what I want to do is I want to add this piece to the side here. If you look at my sample, you'll see that I do have a sentiment inside, hoping your day is perfect, and I have some shells. So I want to make sure that I know where this is going to go. So I'm going to use this strip and start it at the top, go all the way to the side again, and then trim this off. Okay, that's easy enough. So I have my happy birthday, and I'm going to use Gorgeous Grape. You could decide whatever colors you want. I could have done a darker blue, but I wanted to bring the purple out that is in the sky in this one. So there's happy birthday, and then on the inside it says hoping your day is perfect. You keep in mind too that when you're stamping using these photopolymer stamps, you do want something underneath. Now I have our paper pad under, so I have enough give on mine, but you will want something underneath, even a mouse pad, so that I'm going to give you a good, even image. I'm going to use crushed curry for the shells. You could also decorate your envelope if you like. I also had people take the little sailboats and put them on. They put them on the different parts here. Especially here, they liked it on the inside. All right, we've got our stamping done, our happy birthday. So now all we have to do is put this together. So we're going to add our adhesive here. I'm also finding if I flatten my card base, I don't have to fight with this thing coming up when I'm trying to add my inside piece. There we go. Same thing with this. We'll add our adhesive. I don't go crazy with adhesive. Whoops. This also works well for using the front. You saw how it grabbed before I was ready to put it down. All right, so the lighthouse, what I did was I used some of this two-way glue. I like to use that. Sometimes I'll use my Tombow with a little dauber and stuff, and sometimes I just like to get it done, so I use this. It's quick, it's easy. Another thing I like to use too on things like this is my tweezers. The reason I like this is because when I use my tweezers, it's easier for me to move this up and down to decide where I want this. I can push that down. I did not worry about having this part at the top tucked on, glued on there. All right, inside here, I have a couple sailboats and I have some birds. There is one unusual bird here. And when you look at it, when it's not the right way, you know it. I'll show you which one it is. I did the same thing here. I put this glue on it and then it was quick and easy just to set it on there. And it really doesn't matter where you put them. Here's the other big one. Here's the one I was talking about. Unless it's going the right way, it does not look like a bird. It goes this way. And this one, I just kind of had it flying down here on one of the times I did this. I tried to put the birds in different places so people would get an idea of what they could do with them. And it doesn't matter, but some of the ladies put the larger sailboat closer and the smaller one making it farther away. Doesn't matter. You do you, whatever you like. All right, and some people did like the sailboat up here in one of the parts that goes down in, kind of near the horizon. I thought that was kind of cool. All right, so now all we need is our happy birthday, and I took dimensionals and put those on the back. And again, I want to try this because this will allow me to move this and see exactly how it's going to look. The last thing I did on this was I added some Wink of Stella, and you may not be able to see it here, but because of the iridescent shine, I wanted to continue that shine, so I added Wink of Stella to the boats, the sailboats. Keep in mind too, if you have a dark color and you do Wink of Stella on it, it will move the color, it will transfer the colors. So you saw that I cleaned my Wink of Stella off before I went to the birds, because it will color with the kind of ink that you just colored over. All right, so here's this one. I did the happy birthday with Wink of Stella too, but you don't have to. But here's our card. Many people too, they did happy birthday, but other people just said, you know, I want to leave it blank because it's a beautiful card for just about any occasion. Well, I hope you like this card. I hope you give it a try. And thanks for watching.